The cat on your couch right now, it might be descended from one of the most efficient killing machines humans ever created. Because throughout history, humans didn't just adopt cats, they engineered them, they selected them, they bred them for one purpose: to destroy. And these 6 breeds, they weren't made to be cute, they were made to be lethal. Number 6. The Chartreux, the Monastery assassin. In the mountains of southeastern France, Carthusian monks lived in silence. They prayed, they made liquor, and according to legend, they bred killers. The Chartreux is one of the oldest recognized breeds in Europe, with references in French literature going back to the 1500s. The story goes that crusaders returning from Syria in the 13th century brought feral mountain cats back with them, and many of those crusaders entered the Carthusian monastic order. The monks needed something to protect their grain stores and their manuscripts from rats, so they kept these blue-gray cats. And over centuries, the cats became something terrifyingly good at their job. The Chartreux hunts in total silence. It watches, it waits, and when it strikes, it doesn't miss. French farmers prized them so highly that a good Chartreux was considered more valuable than a farmhand. Now, here's the twist. In 1972, the prior of the Grand Chartreuse actually denied that the monastery had any records of the breed at all. So, either the monks covered their tracks, or someone else built this killer and let the monks take the blame. Number 5. The American Shorthair, the Mayflower mercenary. When the first European settlers sailed to the New World, they didn't just bring supplies, they brought weapons. Living, breathing, 4-legged weapons. The ancestors of the American Shorthair were working cats loaded onto ships, including, according to records, the Mayflower itself. With one job, kill every rat on board before it could destroy the food supply. These weren't pets, they were pest control with claws. The entire survival of those early Atlantic crossings depended partly on whether the ship's cats could outpace the rats breeding below deck. When the settlers arrived, the cats came with them, and for the next 300 years, these cats were bred not for how they looked, but for how efficiently they killed. Farmers selected the biggest, fastest, most aggressive mousers and bred them together, generation after generation. The American Shorthair you see today, it's the product of centuries of selective pressure for one trait: lethality. Number 4, the Japanese Bobtail, the silk factory weapon. In 1602, the Japanese government issued a decree that changed the cat forever. Rats were destroying the country's silk industry. They were eating through silkworm cocoons by the thousands, and the economic damage was catastrophic. So, the government ordered every cat in Japan to be released into the streets. No one was allowed to buy or sell cats anymore. They were conscripted. The breed that rose to dominance during this period? The Japanese Bobtail. Originally brought to Japan from China and Korea around the 6th century, Bobtails had already been prized as ratters. But after the 1602 decree, they became Japan's first line of defense against an economic collapse. These cats were so effective that the silk industry recovered, and the Japanese bobtail became a national symbol. The famous Maneki Neko, that beckoning cat statue you see in restaurants, that's a Japanese bobtail, a cat that saved an entire industry by killing everything that threatened it. Number 3, the Egyptian Mao, the Pharaoh's hunter. This breed has been killing for longer than most civilizations have existed. Papyri and frescoes dating back to 1550 BC show spotted cats that look almost identical to the modern Egyptian Mao. That makes this breed over 3,500 years old, and from the very beginning it was built to hunt. Ancient Egyptian paintings show mouse alongside hunters in marshes, helping to flush and retrieve birds. But here's what makes this breed genuinely unsettling. The Egyptian Mao can mimic bird calls. It uses its voice to lure prey closer. keeping birds calm and unaware while the hunter approaches. A cat that impersonates its prey before killing it. The ancient Egyptians didn't just tame a wild animal. They partnered with a predator that had already figured out psychological warfare. The Mau is also the fastest domestic cat breed alive today, clocked at over 30 miles per hour. It doesn't just outsmart its prey, it outruns it. Number 2, the Bengal, the lab-made predator. Most breeds on this list were shaped by centuries of natural selection and human need. The Bengal was built in a laboratory. In the 1960s and 70s, Dr. Willard Centerwall at Loyola University crossbred Asian leopard cats, actual wild predators, with domestic cats. The original goal wasn't companionship, it was science. Leopard cats appeared to be resistant to feline leukemia, and researchers wanted to see if they could pass that resistance to hybrid offspring. The experiment worked, but it also created something unexpected: a domestic cat with the body, instincts, and hunting drive of a jungle predator. Early generation Bengals, known as F1 through F3, are essentially still wild animals. They're more aggressive, more territorial, and significantly more dangerous than any normal house cat. They choose prey larger than mice. They've been documented killing rabbits, large birds, and even small dogs. Several states and countries have restricted or outright banned ownership of early generation Bengals. That's how dangerous they are. A cat so lethal, governments had to write laws about it. Number 1, the Savannah, the closest thing to a wild cat you can legally own. The Savannah isn't just a hybrid, it's the most extreme experiment in domestic cat engineering ever attempted. Created by crossing an African serval, a 40-pound wild predator that hunts birds out of the air, with a domestic cat, the Savannah can stand over 2 feet tall, weigh up to 25 pounds, and jump 8 feet straight up from a standing position. F1. Savannahs are 50% serval. They retain the hunting instincts, the explosive speed, and the predatory aggression of their wild parent. They don't behave like house cats. They behave like apex predators that happen to live in your house. Savannahs have been banned in Australia, multiple US states, and several European countries. Not because of how they look, but because of what they do to local wildlife when they get loose. This is a cat that was never supposed to exist in nature. Humans engineered it, and now some of those same governments are trying to figure out how to put it back in the box. So, the next time your cat brings you a dead bird and drops it at your feet, just remember that instinct wasn't an accident. For some breeds, it was the entire point.